I never thought I'd say this, but I think Ryan Reynolds is reaching his breaking point, and I don't think he can hide it anymore. The pressure's been building for months, maybe even years, and now it's finally boiling over. For a guy who built a career out of being smooth, witty, and completely in control, the silence lately says more than words ever could. And here's the thing. We're not just talking about random gossip.
The conclusion here, I have said this since before, long before this ever broke out between her and Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively is not a good person, that she has proven herself not to be a kind person.
This is about a man who's been pulled into a legal storm that's tearing apart his marriage from the inside out. Blake Lively is deep in one of the most public legal battles we've seen in years. And Ryan? He's right in the middle of it, whether he likes it or not. You don't need to be a body language expert to see something's off. He's distant, detached, not showing up where it matters. While Blake fights her battles in court, Ryan is nowhere to be seen. No statements, no interviews, no emotional support captured on camera. And yet, court documents have already confirmed that even he isn't walking away from this untouched. I think this is more than just a rough patch.
That they were plotting with the New York Times for months to smear him. And there may be some important evidence. I know for a fact that the mainstream media will lie and they will smear on behalf of their powerful friend. I believe in due process, which is why I always read the facts of the case before accepting the media narrative.
This is about a man who's watching everything he built, his image, his family, his peace, get pulled into chaos. And now, after months of silence, the cracks are starting to show. Let's break down exactly what's going on in this marriage, and why I think Ryan Reynolds is quietly sending the world a message. Because once you see the signs, you can't unsee them. It started when Blake told the court that her kids were emotionally affected by everything going on. And then, boom, she added that it was affecting Ryan too.
On Blake Lively's claims that she was allegedly harassed by this guy when they shot the movie, It Ends With Us, a film about domestic violence. And was Justin didn't harass Blake. Blake was interested in wresting control of this movie away from Justin, who was the director and the producer. She was just an actress in it.
His health, his career, his mental state. That right there is a confession, not just of how serious this case is, but of how broken things might be at home. I think Blake meant well. Maybe she wanted sympathy. Maybe she thought it would show the judge how much this situation had cost her family. But what it really did? It confirmed what a lot of people were already whispering, that something is off between them, that Ryan isn't just a bystander, he's drowning in it. And when you bring the kids into the picture, when you say they're
So in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, he accuses Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively of colluding with the New York Times. Do you guys remember what the article was actually entitled that they actually released on 12/21? We can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine.
shaken by what's happening. It changes the entire tone. That's no longer just a fight between adults. That's a house under pressure, a family unraveling. She exposed the strain, and in doing so, she made the silence around Ryan louder. He's not just stressed, he's spiraling, and no one's talking about what that actually means. Where has Ryan been? No, seriously, where is he? Blake's been front and center in the courtroom. She's been seen walking in and out, giving carefully staged appearances, making headlines. But Ryan, it's like he vanished. I think his silence is loud, too loud.
A shitty product with atrocious marketing. You have yourself a disastrous brand that will go out of business.
This is a man who never misses a PR beat. He built an empire off his charm and timing. But now, he's flying solo, skipping events, staying quiet. And I think it's because he can't play the supportive husband role right. Now, not when he's quietly fighting his own storm. And let's not ignore the rumors. A few online sources pointed out that he was spotted alone multiple times this month. No Blake, no kids, just Ryan, low-key and withdrawn. That's not just taking time off.
If you look at that URL, look at the date on that, 12/16/2000.
That's someone backing away from a narrative they no longer control. When someone known for being the face of every campaign suddenly pulls back like this, that's not an accident. That's emotional retreat. That's a man in the middle of a storm, trying to protect what little piece he's got left. Ryan's brand has always been one of the most carefully managed in Hollywood. He's the funny guy, the good guy, the guy who can sell gin and soccer teams and still be America's favorite movie star. But now, he's been named in court documents, tied to a $400 million lawsuit.
You did not know both of their lawsuits have been consolidated into one legal showdown instead of these two separate lawsuits.
The terms defamation, interference, Accusations of manipulation. That's not a rumor. That's a legal reality. And even if none of it sticks, it's already made an impact. Brands don't like controversy. Studios don't like unpredictable headlines. And fans, they're starting to wonder if Ryan's silence is hiding more than just stress. I think this could hurt deals. I think this could reshape how he's seen in the industry. He's not just Blake's husband anymore.
Hey, Lily, you want to do the honors?
No, you go ahead. I need to take it in from here.
There's just so much more to this story, and the media's already like self-flagellating. Oh, we were too mean to Blake. And now you see text messages from Blake Lively comparing herself. She's the mother of dragons in Game of Thrones, that she too has her dragons, Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift.
He's part of the legal storm. Whether he wanted it or not, his name is on the line now. And the clean image he spent years perfecting, it's starting to crack. Every marriage has conflict, sure, but when two powerhouse personalities live under one roof, it's a different kind of struggle. Blake and Ryan aren't just a couple. They're a brand. And lately, I think that brand is pulling in opposite directions. There are whispers of disagreements over career priorities, over public image, even over who owns the spotlight. It's not a stretch to imagine how these things boil over.
But I have no idea on what grounds these two are going to attempt to dismiss his lawsuit. I could understand some possible arguments that her publicist might make and fail, because I told you, he's got evidence.
Especially when one side is stuck defending a legal position while the other is trying to keep a career from falling apart. I think Blake's focus is all in on the case. And I think Ryan's being pulled into it, whether he agrees with her strategy or not. They're both used to being in control. But now that control is slipping. And the tension, you can feel it, even without them saying a word. And then there's Taylor Swift. The moment she got subpoenaed, yes, subpoenaed, for this case, it became clear that the fallout was spreading. Taylor and Blake have always been close. But now, that closeness is being tested in ways we haven't seen before. I think Ryan knows how fragile these friendships are in Hollywood.
All right, you guys, it is Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni Day. Finally, to all of the women out there that are watching, no matter what you do in life, you never, ever, ever go full Amber Heard.
And the fact that legal documents were even heading towards someone like Taylor, that's a sign this situation has gone too far. You start pulling in friends, allies, collaborators, and suddenly the whole world starts looking at you differently. Ryan didn't ask for that, but now he's caught in the crossfire. And once the friend group starts pulling back, that's when it gets real. That's when the marriage stops being just about two people. It becomes about who's left standing. With you when the headlines dry up. Through all this, Ryan stayed quiet. And I think that silence is heavy. He's not just a husband in this story. He's a father, a public figure. Someone who's had to keep working, smiling, and functioning while the woman he loves is in a battle that's draining them both. I think people underestimate how much pressure that brings. When your name is tied to headlines, when your friends are being questioned, when your own home feels like it's under surveillance, you start breaking down. Quietly, slowly, but absolutely. I don't think Ryan has had a real moment to breathe in months. And the worst part? He probably won't get one for a while because this storm isn't even close to over. Let's not sugarcoat it. Ryan's career is built on timing, charisma, and relatability. He's the guy who can sell anything just by flashing that smirk. He turned a superhero with a burned face into a global franchise. He turned gin into a pop culture icon. He bought a soccer team in a small Welsh town and somehow made it feel like the most heartwarming story on earth. But when your name gets attached to a lawsuit this big, it changes the room. Studios start getting nervous. Executives stop smiling as much. Suddenly, the conversations behind closed doors get a lot quieter. Hesitation creeps in. Risk assessments replace confidence. And even if no one says it out loud, the question hangs in the air. Is Ryan still a safe bet? I think this whole situation is messing with Ryan's momentum. He was untouchable for years. Deadpool, Aviation Gin, Wrexham, endorsement deals pouring in, social media posts that could go viral before breakfast. He had the magic touch. But lately, the buzz is different. It's quieter. There's less excitement. The engagement online isn't what it used to be. Even his famously sharp and hilarious posts now feel either overly scripted or eerily forced. And in some cases, he's posting nothing at all. I think he knows it. I think he feels the energy shift. Because Hollywood may love a comeback story, sure, but what it hates, what it punishes, is uncertainty. If there's one thing this town can't stand, it's not knowing what scandal might drop next. And Ryan? He's no longer just the lovable face of comedy. He's now a headline risk, a potential liability. The guy who might get pulled into a deposition during reshoots or mentioned in a subpoena right before a press tour. And that shadow, it sticks. It doesn't have to be a scandal to hurt. Just the suggestion that something might be coming is enough. In Hollywood, silence is often louder than a denial. And Ryan's silence is stretching longer every day. What happens to a leading man when studios stop calling? What happens to a public figure when brands decide he's too risky to endorse? You can be the most bankable star in the world, but if people sense you're walking around with a PR time bomb strapped to your chest, they'll step back. That's not just career damage, that's career redefinition. And then there's the personal toll, because when your professional identity starts crumbling, it always finds a way to follow you home. Ryan Reynolds built a kingdom out of being clever. His whole brand is humor. He's the guy who breaks the fourth wall, mocks his own movie posters, and turns every awkward moment into a punchline. It's worked for him. Every role, every ad, every interview. That charm is his armor. But what happens when the pressure is too real to joke about? That's where I think Ryan is right now. His old tools aren't working. The sarcasm, it's not landing the same. The wink and nod routine, it's starting to feel out of place because the pain isn't surface level anymore. It's not something you can joke away in a tweet. You can tell when someone's forcing it. And lately, I think Ryan's been forcing it, or avoiding it entirely. He's skipped press opportunities, skirted interviews, delayed casual appearances. Why? Because he knows the second someone asks a personal question, just one, the entire illusion could collapse. He's always been sharp, always had the last word. But now, the silence is deafening. The pause before every public appearance is longer. The smile feels heavier. You don't have to be a fan to sense it. He's holding something back. And I think it's eating away at the persona he spent decades building. The truth is, there comes a moment when your public image stops being a suit of armor and starts feeling like a cage. Ryan's been on for so long, I don't think he knows how to be off without unraveling. The guy who once turned every controversy into a clapback now seems like he's dodging reality. And maybe it's because there's too much to unpack. The lawsuit, the marriage, the children, the headlines, the pressure of being seen as the anchor holding it all together. When the person you've convinced the world you are, stops matching who you really are inside, it's not just uncomfortable, it's unbearable. Ryan has been selling calm while carrying chaos. And I think he's reaching the point where the gap between those two worlds is becoming impossible to manage. The question now is, how long can he keep up the act? And what happens if he finally decides to drop it? So where does this go from here? I think we're watching the beginning of a shift. A moment where Ryan Reynolds might have to step out of the polished image he's kept for years and deal with a public that's now asking real questions about his marriage, his future, and who he really is when the cameras turn off. Whatever happens next, one thing's clear. This silence won't last forever. And when Ryan finally does speak, when he breaks his silence for real, it's going to shake the internet. Because too much has already been said, and way too much has already been seen.